I think it's Daniel Dubois' time.
I want to just dish it out and, make sure that I come away with all the belts.
The smart thing to do is always go with who won the first fight.
Yep.
If you've got to put your house on it, choose that.
But I think it's going to come down to who's mentally more prepared to tough this fight out.
I just think it's the timing. Daniel Dubois is getting better and better all the time. And I just think this is the right time for Daniel Dubois to beat Usyk.
And you bring the win. Undisputed from Ukraine, Oleksandr Usyk.
How do you bet against someone who's never lost? He doesn't know what it's like to lose.
Save money's on Usyk, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hello and welcome to Usyk versus Dubois 2, the prediction, where we look at the opinions and the analysis of the biggest names in boxing ahead of the undisputed showdown at Wembley Stadium.
Does he have to knock Usyk out to win this fight? And is he walking in against the same Usyk, given the fact that Usyk's been in 2 battles with Tyson Fury?
Yeah, you're not going to win a boxing match against Usyk.
It's got to knock him out.
I think let's all agree on that.
Yeah. So that's
the same thing when we went to Poland. We're not going to outbox Usyk and win on points. The same thing applies to this fight, upcoming fight. Yeah, by any means necessary. But if it happens to go points, Usyk won't be in a good state to. We will win. But the game plan is to go there, seek and destroy. Always is. And we will be victorious on the 19th of July.
I said it to Oleksandr Usyk, and there's no favouritism here. I think it's Daniel Dubois' time. I think he's a ferocious
I have to agree with
beast. Yeah, absolutely. and I think he deserves all the plaudits. I think what walked into Wembley Stadium was an absolute gladiator, and I'm thrilled for him that he's coming out of himself, growing as a man, becoming more worldly and able to communicate with the media, and I think it's going to be a fabulous fight. Do
you believe that he can get it done inside the distance?
I think he has to get it done inside the distance.
Yeah. You don't think he can win on points?
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely. But whatever, July 19th, brilliant fight.
I can say a million words about it, but I feel it, I'm ready. Everything that's happened to me over this from the last time we fought is a lot of pain, a lot of built-up anger and everything. So I want to just dish it out and make sure that I come away with all the belts and do it in London. That'll be special, to be the first unified champion in London, England. So that's what I'm about, creating history.
Do you think that the 2 fights, Frank, I'm going to ask you to observe on Usyk. I think we all admire him for his achievements. We all admire for the way he conducts himself. Yeah. Do you think that the 2 fights that he's had with Tyson Fury have taken a little bit out of him, which makes it a different fighter for Daniel to fight than the fighter that he fought last time round?
I do, and I hope that's going to be the case. I do. They were, especially the first fight. The first fight was a tougher fight. Second one, obviously, I knew each other a bit more. But I would say this. It's my job to say, but I do think there is a way to beat Oleksandr, but it's got to be a good quality.
But you think take the body, don't you?
I think but I think it's fair to say if you're going back to that fight and then you look at what Daniel's achieved since then and how he's grown as a fighter, it's a different fight altogether, as Igor's already recognises. So.
But we've not seen any chinks in Usyk.
No, absolutely.
We've not seen anything in Usyk.
He's the best heavyweight of our modern generation, for sure.
Daniel Dubois is a different fighter now. Fighting is 90% mental. And he is a completely different fighter mentally. He lets his hands go with freedom. He now trusts his engine because he had those rounds with Jarrell Miller that tested his engine. Yeah. So he's kind of ticked the little boxes along the way, old school style. He's a much better fighter now than the one that fought Usyk the first time. Usyk is a more experienced heavyweight now than he was in the first fight, but I'm not sure he's necessarily a better fighter because he was already fully accomplished back then. Yeah. So for me, it's a much closer fight. Now in a rematch, the smart thing to do is always go with who won the first fight.
Yep.
If you've got to put your house on it, choose that. Secondly, we're talking about Usyk. So if you force me, I would say, okay, well, if I got to do it, I'll go Usyk. But if you gave me the freedom of expression, there's a lot for me to say, actually, you know what? Dubois is actually a good bet on this one.
Just before I let you go, one question, a prediction if you don't mind. On the 19th of July, Daniel Dubois versus Oleksandr Usyk. How do you see that one going?
I saw something about Usyk saying that he thought Conor Benn won the fight. I don't know if this is true. I can't imagine that he watched that fight and thought that Conor Benn won, because it's just, you know, I landed twice as many punches. But people are telling me it's true. If that's the truth, then I'm low-key rooting for Dubois.
Team Dubois, absolutely.
Because that's crazy. That's really crazy to me. And I've met Usyk a bunch of times, and we've always been cool. So I was kind of shocked to see that. I think Daniel Dubois, he's on a roll. He's coming off of a massive win against AJ. Usyk's also on a massive roll. So I think that fight's going to come down to mindset. You know, in the last fight, they both showed mental weakness. You know, Usyk took a 4-minute break in that fight from a shot which some people say was low, some people say it wasn't, but he still took that break. And then Dubois kind of crumbled under the pressure after that. So I think it's going to come down to who's mentally more prepared to tough this fight out. I'm interested to see what happens.
Who are you calling for?
You know what? I've been calling for Dubois to win. I think Dubois...
is that because you think he can win, or is it because you want him to win?
I think, no, you know, Oleksandr Usyk and I got on really well. He gave me his jacket once. Yeah, he gave me a coat. It was nice. It was nice of me. He might ask for that back. No, I gave it to my dad. My dad don't give me it back. I think he's going to sell it soon. I just think it's about timing, really. Oleksandr Usyk, nearing 40. He's not physically... He's not a heavyweight. I don't think he's a heavyweight at all. I think he's still...
Despite beating legitimate heavyweights like Tyson Fury,
yeah,
who are real
I don't think he's a heavyweight. I really don't. I think he could do cruiserweight still now. I just think it's the timing. Daniel Dubois is getting better and better all the time. And I just think this is the right time for Daniel Dubois to beat Usyk.
I know he's had his defeats, but if you're going to do it, this is the time. You leave everything. You leave everything. You know what I mean?
Never been done before. Never.
Do you think he can do it, Simon?
I've always felt we could do it.
Yeah.
I've always felt that he has the capability of doing it. The thing for me is I think that Daniel Dubois is an irresistible force. I'm just worried that Oleksandr Usyk is an immovable object.
Yeah.
I think you have to have the very, very best version of Daniel Dubois, and maybe Usyk off by 2 or 3%. Dubois wins the fight.
You're exactly right.
If he is to win. No, if he's to, I'm going to pick him to win because I want to. Now that's me going with my heart because he's an Englishman. Who do you think wins the fight?
I still can't see past Oleksandr Usyk. You know, I think we just spoke about, is he getting older or is he getting better? I think the way he lives his life...
Get off the fence, who's going to win?
I think Usyk.
Usyk.
Yeah.
Somebody just sent me a text, said, who's out there to beat him? I said, Father Time, guy named Father Time. You know, that old saying, he's undefeated. He's out there. Look, it would be very interesting with Dubois because Dubois is a different guy now. Dubois is, and he's young. And youth can get served, as they say. So Dubois is a different guy than he was when he fought when he fought Usyk the first time. He's redeemed himself. He's found himself. You know, he's a more confident fighter, a more together fighter. But Usyk can do whatever he wants.
What about just this rematch, Dubois-Usyk? Dubois, you know, they still talk about, you know, the below the belt shot that hurt Usyk. How do you see the rematch going here, Eddie? Is Usyk too clever for Daniel, or is Daniel a changed man now?
I think it's a fascinating fight. I mean, look, sport and boxing is all about momentum and confidence. And, you know, Daniel's confidence is sky high compared to where it was in the first fight. You know, I think he still had his demons from the Joe Joyce fight, even the Lorena knockdowns going into that first Usyk fight. And I think he did quite well in that fight, really. You know, he was very competitive, but he got stopped and, you know, he kind of looked for a way out in that fight. And I don't think that Daniel Dubois exists in the same capacity anymore, especially coming off the wins. So, you know, he has been a little bit inactive as well. Obviously, he pulled out of the Parker fight. So he hasn't boxed in September either last year, but still got great momentum. He's very dangerous. He's a huge puncher. And, you know, one fight can turn anything in this division. Yeah. And it might be a case of good timing. You know, Usyk, who is a generational great. Sometimes, you know, those 12-round fights that he had with Fury, even the 12-round fights he had with AJ as well, it takes it out of you, and he's getting on. So it could be good timing, or Usyk might just be too good, but it's a very competitive fight.
He milked it when he went down, which he rightly should do. He took 4.5 minutes.
He uses experience.
He milked it. In my view, he milked it.
Is that using experience?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it is. But he milked the blow. I thought my instinct was at the time. I did the broadcast with you.
Yep.
My instinct was at the time. He might get. He knows he's ahead here. He might get Dubois disqualified here for this if he can't get up. But Louis Pabon, the referee, wanted the fight to continue. What I mean is, Usyk used his experience, if you want to call it that, to milk the situation. Vastly experienced, 350 amateur fights. He only lost 5 or whatever it was, or 15 out of 350.
He dealt with the moment.
He dealt with them. He's very present. He's a very present fighter. He's a very present man.
Yep.
We've seen the entourage grow while he's become undisputed champion. We've seen him relinquish the belt. We've seen him kind of just do many, many gestures that are worthy of a world champion. He's someone we love.
He's proper.
He's someone we have to love. We have to adore. He's a proper man. He's a proper world champion.
Yep.
He does things the right way. But I do think listen, I'd see him as the favourite. I still see him as very hard to beat.
He is the favourite.
Yeah. I'm just saying from my point of view. I see him as... Because some people feel that Daniel Dubois has a great chance in this fight.
He has a greater chance than he did the first time around.
I agree. But I think there were things to take away from Daniel Dubois' performance. Like you said, whoever's talking to him psychologically,
has done a great
emotionally,
job,
mentally.
Great job.
Don Charles.
Great job.
He'd been working with him for, what, 4 weeks?
That was the only fight.
For 4 weeks before that.
Yep.
And he's had 24 months to work with him now.
It's interesting. More and more people I'm talking to fancy Daniel Dubois. I think when the fight was first announced, most thought Usyk would just repeat the feat that he did in Poland. Obviously, Dubois got momentum with those wins over Miller and Hrgovic, and of course AJ at Wembley, where people were worried whether he'd freeze. And in front of 96,000, he dismantled Joshua. So he could be in no better form. I would have liked him to have fought in February when he was going to fight Joseph Parker. I think that lack of ring time might be problematic come the Usyk fight. I don't think there'll be any decline from Usyk. I think he's got heavy hands, Dubois, and he'll go for it. And I think he'll always be dangerous while he's there. I just wonder if Usyk will be slightly too clever still. I don't know. Look, the gap has definitely closed. Usyk is getting older. Dubois is getting better. There's no way that he can outbox Oleksandr Usyk round after round. But can he punch through him? There's a possibility, and that's where the jeopardy is. And of course, he'll have the home crowd. He's got nothing to lose. I think people expect Usyk as this sort of unbeatable force, but the legs will go at some stage, and that low blow, whether it was, whether it wasn't, is long gone now, but it will give Dubois confidence that he can work the Usyk body, and if he can get to him, he can hurt him, and then it'll be very, very interesting.
You are extraordinary. Extraordinary. What will you bring on the night of July the 19th? What Oleksandr Usyk will we see?
Як я виграю 19 числа? I bring light, I bring happy, I bring win.
You bring fight, you bring happy,
fight, yeah.
And you
Free
bring
time,
the win.
Undisputed from Ukraine, Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk.
Who are you picking for the Dubois Usyk fight?
I don't think the fight looks any different, to be honest. I think...
So Usyk?
Yeah.
And before we leave the subject of Anthony and move on to any other business, when do you realistically expect to see him back in the ring?
Probably the end of the year.
Right.
I mean, I gave him zero chance going to Poland. Like, no chance whatsoever. I almost thought it was just a formality for Oleksandr Usyk. And yes, obviously the controversial low blow and everything. I thought he'd done okay considering I gave him no chance. This time round, I certainly give him a good chance. He's mentally in a better space. I think he's now got a team built for him. I think we saw that in the background there.
Yeah.
Everyone in that gym is working for Daniel Dubois. He's not just someone in there getting rounds with people. It's all about the Daniel Dubois show. And he's coming off 3 really good victories. It's a shame we didn't get to see the Joseph Parker fight, because that would have really told us a lot about where he is. But I think he's got a great chance. And Oleksandr Usyk's 38. This is a young man's game. Oleksandr Usyk, for me, is still pound for pound number one. But 38 is 38. When you're coming up against a prime 27-year-old who has dynamite in both hands. We saw that against Anthony Joshua, who's not afraid of the big stage as well. He's now done Poland. He's done a couple of big shows in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He's done 90,000 at Wembley. He's going to walk to the ring with no fear whatsoever. And that's a dangerous, dangerous guy. So, look, I give him a great chance. Usyk favourite. But don't be shocked if Daniel Dubois becomes undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
I think Usyk is the class of the generation. But I think at 37 years old, anytime you step in the ring at 37 years old, you could get old on that night. And Dubois is really, the momentum is with him. He's confident. He's living up to the expectation that was given to him years ago that people thought maybe he was going to be a dud. Now he's starting to live up to it. He's confident. But I still only think that it's Usyk's age that factors in, because the best Usyk still beats the best Dubois.
Two fighters, I would presume, who are too busy to be there would be Daniel Dubois and Oleksandr Usyk, who go head-to-head again very soon. We know what happened last time. Daniel failed in his bid to topple Usyk. What do you think, David, before you leave us? Second guess it for me this time, because it's fast approaching.
Yeah, I thought the first time Daniel had an opportunity that he was going to sort of grab it by the scruff of the neck, and outside of the low blow / borderline punch that had some effect, that was pretty much all he brought to the table in that fight. He was too respectful. We kept it too long range. The fight he had against AJ, very different from that, imposing himself, putting the pressure on, really bringing the heat, because he's a big, strong, rough, tough, got a great chin. He's got all the attributes, and he was able to implement them on AJ and show how good he was. If he comes to the fight with that mindset, just like Chisora did when he fought Usyk, showed him respect, but when it came to closing the range down and bringing the heat, Derek had the best fight against Usyk than anyone's had. It's because he closed the range and worked inside. If Dubois can really impose himself and don't get involved in a boxing match, he's got a shot. Usyk's had his last 4 fights, 2 fights against AJ, 2 fights, against Tyson Fury, hard fights that he won, weren't life and death, but think of the training camp he had to have those 4 fights, the big guys he was sparring. I know it's like sparring big guys, it takes a lot out of you. Has he taken too much out of himself? He's never lost before, undisputed cruiserweight, undisputed heavyweight, but at some stage you can't, it doesn't work anymore. I found that out. At some stage you can't do what you wanted to do. Nothing suggests he's that comes that close from his last fight. But when he's fighting a young, rough, tough Daniel Dubois with lots of confidence, who's been in there, knows what it's like, he's got a shot, he's got a massive shot, but how do you bet against someone who's never lost? He doesn't know what it's like to lose. But I think if there's ever a chance for Dubois to beat someone like Usyk, it's now with the momentum he's got, at home, he's got everything in his favour, and Usyk has got nothing to gain really, because he's already beat, but he done the same thing with Tyson Fury and AJ, gave them both rematches and done it better the second time round. So I'm really intrigued in this fight, and everyone's going to be behind Daniel Dubois. He's a great guy.
Sure.
Straight down the line, but he's fighting a wizard. He's fighting someone who doesn't know what it's like to lose, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Usyk victory, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Usyk starts showing signs of age, hard training camps, all those amateur fights, world championships, amateur, the WSBs. He's done so much, so many rounds on the clock, so many miles on the clock. He's pristine, but there's a lot of miles on the clock.
And I think under Don Charles, improvements we've seen in the fights with Jarrell Miller, Filip Hrgovic, he looks like he's really turned a corner, and he will give Usyk one hell of a test and one hell of a run for his money. And obviously backing the British fighters, I'll be backing him all the way. But it's going to be a tall ask to beat Usyk.
Daniel Dubois against Oleksandr Usyk. Who wins it?
Listen, save money's on Usyk. I'm not gonna lie to you, but you never know with this young kid right now. He's hungry. He wants it. This is a second time round coming around on this fight, undisputed. So everybody's gonna be in his ear, pushing him. Doing everything right. So we'll see what happens on the 19th in Wembley.
Can I ask? A lot of people tell me that he's one of the best heavyweights they've ever seen. And I'm a bit like, is he one of the best?
No, he's one of the best fighters that's ever lived, and people don't. People don't.
An unbelievable statement.
Do you know why I'm going to say this? Because people don't in 20 years' time, people will say Oleksandr Usyk was one of the best that's ever lived, but they don't like to say it while someone's still in their career. But he's beat AJ twice. He's beat Fury twice. He's cleaned out all these killers in the cruiserweight division. That cruiserweight division that he was in was full of like really, really good fighters. Cleaned them out. A lot of them on away territory. There's not many people have done what he's done, and in such a quick time as well. He is an all-time great right now, and he still hasn't even finished his career.
So the thing is now, I don't think Usyk is going to get any better. He's a master-class boxer. Did Dubois get any better? You know, unfortunately, when he fought me, he graduated that night. You know, his dad was in his corner. He turned up another switch, and I wasn't able to get to the level. So Dubois, we seen something that night that Dubois has been turned up every fight. Now, let's see if that Dubois is with Usyk. Usyk is in for a long night. Can he go to the body? Can he walk Usyk down? I'm all for it. But, you know, this is boxing. Anything can happen. But, you know, I like Dubois. Weird. I love him. So I'm I'm rooting for him, and hopefully we get a rematch.
He's got a real shot, isn't he? I mean, Paul, what's your thoughts on that?
For me, I can see a repeat of the last fight, but I'm obviously a big Usyk fan, and I'm yet to see things in him that, apart from this, maybe a little fragile weakness to the body, but when fellas as big as him are hitting you in the body, you're going to go. We keep seeing heavyweights being told they've got no chins. The size of these heavyweights now compared to what they used to be, any one of these hitting on the chin, you're going. I don't care how good your chin is, you're going to go. You must have been felt shots in sparring and fights yourself where your legs go because there's a big 19 stone, 250-pound man hitting you on the chin.
Well, let's be honest. I've never been dropped in sparring. Never been dropped in a real fight. So some guys are blessed with that gift of having a chin, but at some point, if you keep getting hit on it, it's gonna go. Like we seen with Joe Joyce. You know, Joe Joyce was like a granite chin, and I always said, if you fight Zhang gonna knock him out. And when Zhang hit him, that was over, and Joe Joyce hasn't been the same since. So even me now, as I'm 35, gonna be 36 now, I'm still feeling good, still feeling fresh. I have a great chin. I'm working more on defense now on my part of my career because I know, guess what? I'm gonna be in this game a little longer because it has to lay off that I have to work on my defense. So I'm not gonna rely only on my chin because guess what? Younger guys take more chances where I got more mature now. I need to be more articulate in taking my shots. So protecting myself at all times is the name of the game.
Again, it has to be Usyk for me.
How does he win?
I think he probably stops Dubois late in this fight because Dubois, you know, like I say, Dubois has to make this fight into an absolute bloodbath. He's got to hound and chase Usyk, and in doing so, he's going to leave himself open because he's going to fight at a frenetic pace. The question has to be, can he keep the pace up for the 12 rounds?
I'm going Usyk. I think Dubois boxes better, but I think boxes better than he did the first time, but I think Usyk is just far too technically superior, naturally gifted. I mean, when it comes to the punch power is Dubois, without a doubt. But there's no point in being able to hit hard if there's nothing hard to hit. You know what I mean? So I'm going towards Usyk. But I will always, every time I mention Daniel Dubois, I'll always mention Don Charles. He's done an amazing job with Daniel Dubois. Completely agree. To give credit where credit's due.
What's your thoughts on that one, by the way? Do you think that Dubois is now in a position and can pull that off?
He's in a position to pull it off, yeah, but do I think he does? No. I think Usyk's just better all round, too good for them all. If Dubois lands that shot that knocks Usyk out, then that's his chance of winning. I don't think anyone matches him skill level. Anyone competes with him over a 3-minute round. So I think he's still not a full-blown heavyweight, regardless of how good he is. He's still a small man of heavyweight, so they can all knock each other out, which we know that. So if anyone beats him, I think they have to knock him flat out.
And that was Usyk versus Dubois 2, the prediction. And don't forget, you can follow all of the build-up and the reaction across the talkSPORT network.